Hey guys, and welcome to the introduction to Flutter and some basic widgets. In these tutorials, we're going to go through the foundations of Flutter and how we can use some extremely simple widgets to get a small application up and running. Now to start with, we're going to open up Android Studio and we're going to go click Flutter or start a new Flutter project. We're going to select Flutter application, and in our project name, we're going to name it Flutter Intro. The SDK path will already be specified if you followed the instructions from the previous tutorials for setting up. And then we're going to specify our project location, which I'm happy with. And we're just going to give it a new description of an intro application to learning Flutter. And we're going to hit next. Don't worry too much about the company domain. We'll go through that a little bit later. Just for now, leave it as whatever it defaults to. And we'll hit finish. And Android Studio should start to load. We're going to give it a little bit of time. It can take some time the first time. Once that's all started up, I'm just going to close off a few menus, drag this across. And we're going to go up to the top here and select our device that we'd like to run our emulator through. Now, I'm going to select the Android emulator. If you don't have any emulators specified, just basically click this little button right here. Or you can go up to Tools and go to AVD Manager and go through and just sort of set up a device that you'd like to use while you're developing some demo apps for Flutter. It's basically just a process of clicking next a bunch of times until you've set up an Android device. We'll go through setting up a device in more detail in a following tutorial. Okay, so now that I've got my device on the right here, just make sure it's turned on. What we're going to do is we're going to start to clear out all of this old code. So I'm just going to remove it all. Just going to drag this across. And I'm just going to start typing out the sort of basic structure of any Flutter application. So this will be pretty standard across all the projects you work with. We're just going to set this up for the work we're about to do. We're going to bring in the material design library from Flutter's core SDK, and we're going to declare a main function, which is going to return a run app with new, and then we're just going to be returning my app. Then we'll declare the my app by creating a new class called my app, which is going to extend a stateless widget. Then we're simply going to override the default build function, which is what gets drawn to the screen when it gets called on start of your application. Then we're going to basically start to return the default structure or scaffold of the Flutter application. So we're going to return a new material app. And within material app, we need to specify a few parameters. So we're going to be returning a title, which is going to be welcome to Flutter, and we're going to specify the home, which is going to be a new scaffold. And a scaffold you can kind of think of as like a digital sort of skeleton or framework that everything in your UI sits within. So you'll see it used a lot. It's kind of the de facto for setting up the basic screen of an application. So we'll define our scaffold, and within our scaffold, it takes an attribute called body. We're going to set the body equal to a new center. So this is basically centering everything within this widget. I should also mention these are technically widgets right here. A widget can contain widgets. So technically your entire application is actually a widget, which can be contained within another widget. So you could have an application within an application. We'll get into that a little bit later. Applicationception. You're going to have a child within this of a text object. And this is basically just going to be the hello world that we display on the screen. Cool. And just close all these off. So this is the basic code for, I guess, getting started in Flutter. So we're just going to hit go, and we're going to deploy it to our device. And there we go. So as you can see, well, it's not really visible, but we have actually loaded in a material app. Within this, we've got a scaffold that basically contains a center object or widget. And within that center widget, we have the Hello World child text. Fantastic. So in the next video, we're going to look into app bars and how we can use them to add a little heading to our application. So I'll see you then.